Picture this. It's 1981. You walk into a record store, and there's a new album from one of the biggest rock stars in America. The price tag reads $9.98. That's expensive. Too expensive. And one man is willing to destroy his entire career to bring that number down. His name? Tom Petty. And this isn't a story about a rock star throwing a tantrum. This is a story about a man who understood something most artists never figure out. If you don't own your work, someone else will. And they won't care about you or the people listening. This is the story of the man who fought record labels, sued his own company, declared bankruptcy as a weapon, and spent 40 years proving that stubbornness isn't just rebellion, it's survival. This is Tom Petty, the man who refused to be owned. Let's start at the beginning. Gainesville, Florida, 1964. Tom Petty is 13 years old, and like millions of American kids, he's sitting in front of a black and white television on February 9th, watching The Ed Sullivan Show. The Beatles appear. 4 guys from England with shaggy hair and guitars, and suddenly, the world cracks open. Years later, Petty would say it changed everything. Not in some mystical destiny way, in a practical way. He saw 4 regular guys doing something extraordinary, and he realized this could be a job. This could be a life. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't wait for talent scouts or lucky breaks. He got a guitar, he formed a band, he started playing. Because Tom Petty understood something early that would define his entire career. You don't wait for someone to give you the life you want. You take it. So he left Gainesville, left the small town life, left everything safe and predictable, and he chased the only thing that made sense to him: the music. Fast forward to the mid-1970s, Los Angeles. Tom Petty is broke, hungry, and determined. He forms a band, not just any band, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And here's where most people get the story wrong. They think Petty is a solo artist with a backing band, background musicians, replaceable parts. That's not what the Heartbreakers were. They were a weapon, a finely tuned machine. Mike Campbell on lead guitar, Benmont Tench on keyboards, Stan Lynch on drums, Ron Blair on bass. These weren't session players. These were the architects of the sound. Listen to those records. Really listen. What sounds effortless? That's discipline. What sounds simple? That's restraint. What sounds inevitable? That's 5 guys who know each other's timing so well they can make a 3-minute song feel like the only truth that matters. The Heartbreakers weren't decoration. They were the foundation. And that foundation would become Petty's greatest strength when the real battle began. Because in the music industry, the fight isn't about talent, it's about control. And Tom Petty was about to learn that lesson the hard way. 1979. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers are on the rise. The debut album hit, Breakdown, is on the radio. American Girl is becoming an anthem. Everything is going right. Except it isn't. Behind the scenes, Petty's record label, Shelter Records, gets sold to MCA. Petty didn't agree to this, didn't sign up to be owned by a corporate giant. But in the music industry, artists are assets, inventory, things to be bought and sold. So Tom Petty does something insane, something most artists would never dare. He declares bankruptcy, files Chapter 11, basically says, I'll destroy my own financial life before I let you treat me like property. This isn't a rock star tantrum. This is calculated warfare. Bankruptcy is the nuclear option. It's Petty saying, you can own the contracts, you can own the recordings, but you don't own me. and I'd rather burn it all down than let you move me around like a chess piece. The legal battle drags on for months. Petty can't tour, can't release new music, can't make money. He's living in limbo, watching his career potentially die because he refused to accept the standard deal that every other artist accepts. But here's the thing about Tom Petty. He didn't back down. Not when the lawyers threatened him, not when the label pressured him, not when everyone told him he was being stupid and stubborn and throwing his career away. Eventually, a new deal gets made. Petty wins. Not completely, not perfectly, but he wins enough. He gets better terms. He gets more control. And most importantly, he proves something to himself and to the industry. He can't be pushed around. 2 years later, 1981. Petty is back in the studio recording Hard Promises, his fourth album. The music is great. The band is locked in. Everything is ready. Then the record label announces something. They're raising the list price of the album to $9.98. It's called superstar pricing. The label's logic is simple. Petty is a star now, so fans should pay more. Supply and demand, basic economics. But Tom Petty sees it differently. He sees a record company deciding that his relationship with his audience is worth less than an extra dollar of profit. He sees fans, working-class fans, the kids who saved up allowance money, the people who made him a star, getting squeezed because some executive decided they could get away with it. So Petty says no. Publicly, loudly. He threatens to hold the album. He considers naming it 898 just to make the point. The album cover ends up being a photo of him standing in a record store, surrounded by bins marked $8.98. The message couldn't be clearer. Tom Petty is fighting for his fans. Tom Petty is standing up to corporate greed. Tom Petty is refusing to let the industry set the terms. And here's the kicker. He wins. The label backs down. The price drops. Hard Promises gets released at the standard price. Petty loses nothing. In fact, he gains something more valuable than money: credibility. The knowledge that when he says something matters, people believe him. Because this fight wasn't really about a dollar. It was about ownership. Not legal ownership. Tom Petty would fight those battles for decades. But moral ownership. The understanding that the relationship between an artist and an audience is sacred, and anyone who tries to exploit that relationship is the enemy. Most artists would have stopped there, won the big battles, taken the money, enjoyed the fame, coasted on the hits. Tom Petty kept fighting. In the 1980s and 90s, while other rock stars signed massive deals and sold their souls to the highest bidder, Petty stayed stubborn. He fought for creative control. He fought for tour pricing. He fought against corporate sponsorships that would have made him millions, but would have compromised the music. He joined the Traveling Wilburys with Bob Dylan, George Harrison, Roy Orbison, and Jeff Lynne, a supergroup that could have been a cash grab, but instead became a project about friendship and joy, and making music for the right reasons. He kept touring with the Heartbreakers, not because he had to, because the work mattered, because showing up for the fans mattered, because proving that you could have a 40-year career without selling out mattered. In 2002, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the official stamp of approval, the industry's way of saying, you made it, you're a legend. But Petty never acted like the award was the point. He kept working, kept recording, kept touring, because for him, the work was never about validation. It was about the relationship with the audience, the promise that every time they showed up, he would too. September 25th, 2017, the Hollywood Bowl, Los Angeles, California. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers take the stage for the final show of their 40th anniversary tour. The crowd is massive. The energy is electric. This is a victory lap. This is a celebration. This is proof that you can do it the right way and still win. Petty performs like he always does. Full commitment, full heart, giving everything he has to the people who came to see him. The encore includes American Girl, the song that started it all 40 years ago. The crowd sings every word. It's perfect. It's everything a final show should be. 1 week later, on October 2nd, 2017, Tom Petty dies of cardiac arrest. He's 66 years old. The coroner's report comes later. Accidental overdose, mixed drug toxicity, multiple prescription medications for pain, for anxiety, for the physical toll of decades on the road. The report describes multi-system organ failure, medical language for a body that had been pushed beyond its limits. This is where the story gets uncomfortable, because the truth is that endurance has a cost, and Tom Petty paid it. He spent 40 years refusing to quit, refusing to slow down, refusing to let the audience down. He toured when his body was breaking. He performed when he was in pain. He showed up because showing up was the whole point. And in the end, it killed him. There's no moral here, no lesson about work-life balance or knowing your limits. Just the reality that the man who refused to be owned by record labels, by corporations, by the industry, he couldn't escape being owned by his own commitment, his own stubbornness, his own refusal to back down. So what's the legacy of Tom Petty? If you only know him as the guy with the hits, you're missing the point. Free Fallin', I Won't Back Down, American Girl. Yeah, those songs are incredible. They're timeless. They'll be played on radio stations and in movies and at baseball games for the next 100 years. But the deeper legacy isn't the songs. It's the refusal, the be moved. The refusal to accept that the industry gets to set the terms. The refusal to treat the audience like marks to be exploited. The refusal to compromise on the things that matter. Tom Petty proved that you can fight the system and win. Not every time, not perfectly, but enough. Enough to matter. Enough to show other artists that there's another way. He proved that stubbornness isn't just rebellion, it's a business strategy. That protecting your relationship with your audience is more valuable than any record deal. That saying no to the wrong things is just as important as saying yes to the right ones. And most importantly, he proved that you can spend 40 years in the music industry, an industry designed to chew up artists and spit them out, and still come out the other side with your dignity intact, with your principles intact, with your soul intact. That's why the music still feels personal. That's why when you hear a Tom Petty song, it doesn't sound like corporate product. It sounds like someone talking directly to you. Because he fought to keep that connection real. He fought to make sure that the songs belonged to the people listening, not just the people selling. Tom Petty was a man who refused to be owned by labels, by corporations, by expectations. And that refusal, that beautiful, stubborn, costly refusal, is what made him a legend. Now drop a comment. What's your favorite Tom Petty song? And what does it mean to you? And if this story hit you the way it hit me, hit that subscribe button. Because we're telling the real stories, the human stories behind the legends, the moments that made the icons. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching. Long live the fighters. Long live Tom Petty.